4 years old, we shifted to Chinkonpang. Then I spent most of my formative years in Chinkonpang, and I go to Don Bosco School, as well as after that I passed my matric from Blue Star Academy. I continued my studies in Patkai Christian College in Dimapur. And one thing, while I was in the school, I had one teacher called Sar Swan Lian. He was very good to in the sense that he encouraged me to participate in extempore speech. And as a child, I did not study I was not a good student, but I read lots of comics and so many out books. So that teacher encouraged me that I was very good in writing of self-composed notes. So mostly, since he was a history teacher, he inspired me to take up history honors even in my graduation. So he played a lot of role to help me find my own self-confidence and when I passed my matric in the first class, I was also a bit surprised because I did not regard myself as a brilliant student. Then I continued in Patkai Christian College. Then I got exposure in so many, the Evangelical Union out there, and so many good preachings and in the Patkai Christian College. And the people was a new experience out of Chorchandpur town. Then I continued in Shillong, in St. Anthony's. We stayed in Stephen Hall, and there I learned so many things, not only studies, but then even in spiritual areas also. And I began to develop friendship with some of good people who would shape my life in a spiritual sense. Then after completing my graduation in St. Anthony's in Shillong, by the grace of God, I could complete in first class as a gold medalist in Nehu. And after that, I went down to JNU. I got JNU in 2 seats, in international studies and in history department. But since my focus was more on on civil service, so I thought I'll just leave history for the time being because it's going to be very heavy. So I took international studies. Then I continued studying international studies for that 2 years. And while I was preparing for the civil service, one friend, he asked me to try out for a banking job because there are so many openings in the banks. And I just tried out because I thought I would be self-sufficient. And just the time I completed my master's degree, I went into banking. I got my first job as a bank probationary officer. I started joining the bank in Mumbai and in the head office in Union Bank of India. Then after that, I was asked to report to Calcutta. Then permanently, I was posted in Guwahati. I stayed in Guwahati for many years, and I was finding the work in a bank so tough because I was just thinking that I'd prepare for civil service and continued just to earn my money in the bank. But then I got stuck up in the banking, and I could not prepare for civil service anymore because the life in the bank was so tough. And I started later on, I started enjoying my work in the bank because I feel that I'm going to be there for quite some time. So when the there were so many problems with transfer and posting. So while this transfer and posting were being, I had been transferred around, I feel that I should search for another job, and that's how I went to a new bank called Global Trust Bank. It's a private bank, and there in a private bank, unlike what other people were telling me, I really enjoyed more than the commercial bank, because if you perform, you get appreciated, and if whatever you do, it's been you got the credit yourself, and you can also grow in a very in a fast way, because the people, the surrounding, everything, the setup is so so conducive for growth. So I really enjoyed my stay in the Global Trust Bank, but unfortunately, Global Trust Bank merged with Oriental Bank of Commerce, and I thought I would have to search for another job, and fortunately I got offer in Axis Bank and just when I was about to join Axis Bank, I got a job, another job in Mizoram University as an assistant registrar. So I work in Chandigarh in Global Trust Bank, and from there I shifted to Mizoram University as an assistant registrar, and it was quite a different, challenging atmosphere, because we were setting up a new university and Mizoram University was at its beginning stage, and we were getting the chance to contribute a lot in the formation of many of the policies, as well as in setting up of the structure of the institutions. So after working there for more than 4 years, I got a chance to come to Manipur as a deputy registrar, and fortunately out of around 12 candidates I got selected, and by the grace of God it was not a very tough thing, because there was no written exam anymore, and in both the cases, assistant registrar as well as deputy, it was through interview, personal interview, and after I got deputy registrar, after I completed 5 years in 2015, I got promoted as a joint registrar. So that is about my background as a career. Yeah, while I was working in the bank, I could not write any exams anymore, because when I joined the bank, Union Bank of India in Guwahati, I heard one testimony saying that that one lady was saying that she will not write any exams on Sunday, because she believed that Sunday is made only for the Lord. So of course there's no rule that we should not write any competitive exams on Sunday, but by faith I decided in my heart that I'll not write any more exams on if it falls on Sunday. And to my surprise, I found out that all the exams falls on Sunday, and I thought many times when I pray, I started questioning whether I'll be able to stick to my commitment. So that is the reason why I could not pursue this civil service, but God gave me a better job, and I get into another bank, and then to the university administration. While I was a small boy, my dad is my best friend, and till today my dad is my best friend, because he is 80 years old now, and the way that he had helped me out when I was a kid, I'm helping him out now, and I'm taking him out whenever I had a free time, and we had a nice time, nice rapport. The main thing about my dad is that he did not keep any secrets from me. We were just like a good buddy. So I knew that he did not have much money, so I never asked him to give me this or that. There was never a time like that. And he told me all his secrets, and I told him all my secrets like a good friend. And a good influence about my mom is that she was spiritually very conscious. And even while we were kids, I still remember we had a family devotion regularly, not every day, but then at least once or twice a week. And on Sunday morning, it was compulsory. And many times we don't like it, but when looking back, we find that our family is very special because of those family devotions. There were many people who inspired me. Of course, since I read lots of books like Reader Digest, and we see great people like not only in this country but also abroad. But someone who really influenced me was my good friend, brother Len Jos. Uh, the reason why was that he had a simple faith in the hostel, and I was in the beginning I did not think that he's he, I did not have a high opinion about him, but then later on when I had a sickness, and when I saw his prayer life, when I started getting close to him, everything what he says and the close work that he had with God, I started longing to have that kind of that kind of that kind of communion and relationship which he has with God. And I never thought that it's really possible even for a man to have such a close work with God. But after seeing him praying the whole night or fasting and so many exemplary things, challenging, he set the bar very high, and I find that I was also like inspired and wanting to have a taste of the promise of God speaking to me, and all those kind of things in my life. Today, I would like to really encourage the youths of today, because there are so many areas in which the people are people. There are so many areas where people are struggling, in which they, especially if we make a good use of our time, like how we spend our time, if we really concentrate on it, we will find that success is just on the way. Many of us, we waste our time in social media, Facebook and WhatsApp, and so many other distractions have started coming because of the laptops and mobiles and all those inventions. Even for me, in order to finish a book, I really need to concentrate, and every month I want to complete at least two good books. And in order to do that, I would just not touch my mobile at least for 1 hour at a stretch, and or at least I finish this chapter or that. So the problem with these students, young students who are still looking out for a job, is that they keep on fiddling with their mobile even in their study table, and that is something which really needs self-control. We need to overcome that kind of temptations. And there may be other bad habits which we all know, but then these are very subtle things, but then it can eat away lots of your time. And people do not sleep on time, people do not get up on time, so the whole routine becomes problematic. So the main thing is that to have a self-control and limited window period for this kind of social media on Facebook and WhatsApp and other kinds of social media. So once you can control the way that you use your time, I think you would have a good command on the way that you will be successful in the future. Another thing that I want to tell is that many of my friends were much more brilliant than me, but I feel that they deserve to be in a big positions. But then in the long run, I find that it's more of a hard work, more of a consistency in your approach to career. It's not just brilliant, or it's not just because you are bright in studies that you become a successful in life. It's because you are consistently working hard and you're consistently having a good record of your academics that will bring you to some kind of achievement or success. Uh, that's that's what I felt. Yeah, when we look for a job, I feel that civil service is not the only option. Uh, when because of the good influence of my teacher in a high school, and I feel that I'm carved out for arts subject, and I feel that I'll enjoy reading as well as studying as well as uh, pursuing my career. So when I took arts in 11 pre-university, one of my cousin who was a doctor was very surprised to find that my entrance results comes in the arts side, and he was expecting it in the science stream, because science have give us lots of options like a doctor, engineers, and all those. But if I take arts, I cut out all of my options right from the pre-university level. But I do not regret it, in the sense that I was following my passion and my interests. So what I want to encourage the youth is that please follow your interests, because it's not about the salary, or it's not about the pay or the positions or the degree. It's about your patience in your life. Even uh, if it is some new territory which you're going to follow. But once you make up your mind to follow your interest and your passion in your life, I think you should stick to it till the end. And you should be really good at it, so that you are better than all the other people in that particular area. It's not just like you try to follow, say, photography or music or some kind of uncharted like painting, and later on you just give it up in the midway. If you the challenge for excellence in that kind of area is much more. But then if you are trying for civil service, my advice is that please give a serious try for only 3 times, and don't waste your life over trying your whole life. One of the main struggles I had while I was studying in graduation, I was quite ambitious, and because I have decided that I'll go for civil service since I was class 9. So I had collected all the books, but while I was doing my graduation, especially in the final year, I had this problem of sinus, and I was struggling with this sickness, and outwardly I was fine, and I had this eye problem. So I went to the eye doctor. I went to I had a sinus operation, but still I had this headache, and I keep on like I tried my best to study, but then my mind was very fresh, but my eye was not cooperating, and I just look up to the ceiling in my hostel room, and I thought that I was getting so frustrated, and that was the time when uh, there was a time that I started seeking God. Otherwise, I thought I was pretty okay, and I feel that by the time I finished my graduation, the plan which I had, that I was thinking that I'll finish my graduation as well as uh, gave a good shot at a civil service. But my plan was not working out, because I was not able to cover any of the syllabus of the civil service. So I just concentrated on my graduation, and along with that, there was a big frustration. That was a time when the church and people who are praying, they started coming out. And for the first time, I saw one of my friend who was always drinking the whole week, and he was asking a man of God, saying that, brother, please pray for me. And I think to myself that I'm also as much in need of prayer as he is. So why don't I also go forward and ask him to pray for me? Lots of pride was there, and when the moment I asked him to pray for me, uh, after a few weeks, the person who prayed for me had really prayed for me, because when he saw me again after missing out a few Sundays, when he saw me again on the Sunday in which I attended, he said, "David, I had been praying for you. Where have you been? How is your health now? Can you study?" And that really touched me, and then God also started working in my life, and he started changing my life, and I started that was the turning point in my life. Uh, it, there was a deep longing deep in my heart right from childhood that if I die right now, will I go to heaven? And people would think that I'm a good boy, but I knew deep in my heart that I'll not go to heaven, because there was so much of sin, so much of uncleanness, so much of thing hidden in me, which would not allow me to go to heaven. So that fear of hell was always there in my life. And when this problem in my studies, and when I went to the church and I met good friends who really encouraged me to pray, I started seeking God with all my heart. I thought that every year I said that I'll not do all these bad habits anymore, but that year I'll always break my New Year resolutions, even in the first week of January. And by the time the month of January ends, I'll be worse than the previous year. So I feel that my life is like going around in circles. And so that time I thought, let me be really serious this time. Let me not be satisfied until I get the real deal, real touch of God. So like Daniel did, I started deciding 3 times in a day I'll pray. So I've said that I'll pray for 30 minutes in the morning, noon, and evening. So when I started kneeling down to pray, I could not even pray for 5 minutes, and I look at my watch again and prayed for 30 minutes. So that goes on, and by the time it was 15 days like that, I feel lots of change started happening to me. First, I had a great fear, and that's come into my heart, and I knew it was from the devil. And then I started confessing all my sins. Then finally, one fine day, one night, after I cleaned up all my rooms of all unclean pictures, unclean music, all the rock musics and other musics which are not gospel musics, and I feel I need to ask forgiveness from my warden. I need to ask forgiveness from my parents and other people also. Then when I decided, yes, I'll do it, and God lifted the burden in my right, like a heavy burden from my back on my that was at midnight. Then in the morning I was so fresh. Then I went to the warden. Since I did not have the courage to ask forgiveness, I already wrote it and I gave it to him, and he read it out and he said, okay, fine. Otherwise, he was thinking that you have to go out of the hostel. Not only you, along with all your friends, because we were praying in one room, and when the warden, he was a Catholic father, interrupted us, I had a heated argument with him, and I told him that I told him so many things, and he said that not only you, every one of you have to go and call your local guardian, or you will be out of the hostel. So I went back and said that, sir, it is me who fight with you. I'll go out of the hostel, but not my friends. But he said that, no, every one of you has to go out. So when I think about my friend, I felt so broken that I have to humble myself. And after God really lifted my burden, I asked God for another promise. And 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 while I was studying in the hostel, in my hostel room, there was still doubts that whether I'm really safe, whether I will really go to heaven. Then I asked God to give me another assurance of salvation. Then from the Bible in Psalm 103, verse 12, as far as the east is from the west, I have put away your sins, your iniquities far away from you. So after I get that promise, I became very confident in the Lord, and I started sharing my testimonies. And God had helped me to overcome. Even in my workplace, there were so many times discouraging moments, and every year, like when we because the demands of the work in the bank is so much that sometimes we can't even. They want us even to work on Sundays, or even missed out so many programs in the church also. So in all those areas, I exercised my faith, and I shared my testimonies to my colleagues and even to some of the customers who work in the bank. And I find that some of them even get saved. I still remember before I joined my first job, I was still in JNU, and we had a short kind of like family Thanksgiving at my sister's place in Delhi. And my brother-in-law said something. He advised me that few points, and some of the points I still remember. Like one first point that he said was, live within your means. And that sounded in my mind, in my thoughts, because to live within our means as a government servant, we have to make our lifestyle very simple. If we make our lifestyle very grand, and we want to imitate all the other officers around us, we'd go for corruption. There's so much of temptations to take away the money which does not belongs to us. And there are so many new models of cars every year, and there are so many good buildings which other peoples are having. There are so many wealth. So when we look at all those things, we would be tempted to take to compromise with our integrity. So that was a good piece of advice. The second advice which he gave me was that you are not an officer because of your designation or position. So you have to work for it. You have to work hard for it. So that really strikes me, and it really makes me think that I'm not just an officer because of the designation. I had to work for it. And even till today, there is a challenges every day in my workplace, because we have new targets, new heights to conquer, new things to achieve. And if I do not update myself with the latest bit of information, I would be like a dinosaur. I mean, like on my way to extinction. The information which I had yesterday is no longer relevant today, because every day there is new circulars, new updates that needs to be met. And the way in which I deal with other people in the office and handle my job, there is always like room for improvement. So life is a continuous process of learning, and you never stop being a student, even after getting a job, even after you become an officer. And I have many targets before me to achieve in my own personal level, and like it's all like time bound. So I work towards getting towards that target. So that is what keeps me on my at, that keep me fit physically as well as mentally and even spiritually also. Thank you.